Hey, what's up, Jonathan? So, man, I'm really excited to have you on today. You've been buying a lot of our term leads, and I just kind of want to pick your brain, get you on a call here, and just kind of see what you're doing. I see that you're ordering, so it means you're probably making money. So, I thought I'd get you on a call. So, welcome to the call, man.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. So, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and just go through. Let's get into it. When you call these term leads, what kind of response are you getting on the phone?
Yeah, ultimately, so there's definitely a strategy to it. I think maybe we'll go into that in a minute, but I contact them pretty quickly,
Hmm.
regardless of what they say, morning, evening, afternoon, to say, hey, listen, I just want you to know that I received your notification. On
Yep.
your form, it says evening. What time tonight's best or tomorrow? So first of all, the response was pretty good. I
Okay.
get people pretty quickly. Um, on occasion, you'll have to call more than once or twice,
Sure.
but yeah, usually I get at least a 60% contact the first time around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sometimes a little less. I think the average is
Yeah, it
going to be
depends. Yeah.
about 50-50, but 60% has been, I track these numbers. So
Okay. Wow. Wow. Yeah. And so when you talked a little bit about your approach, are you, we gather occupation on these leads, and I teach agents that that's important. And to position yourself as an expert. Is that something? So like if I get a teacher or whatever, I'll say, the reason your name came across my desk is because I specialize in working with educators. Or so I kind of try to warm them up with the idea that, hey, I'm the reason you came to me is because I actually work with people like you. Is that something you're doing, or?
yeah, sure,
Gotcha.
sure. The best part of this is the fact that I have a connection to most of the industries you're already putting out there. So I
Gotcha.
think if we're talking to agents, and I've mentored hundreds of agents in my past,
Gotcha.
and I'm always trying to say to them, hey, if you've got a pastor, man, I just refer to it as, hey, I specialize in clergyman life insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
specialize in educating. My wife is a teacher. A lot of families, friends are teachers,
Right.
and the nurses.
Right.
And we have to remember these are people with real world problems that need a real genuine
Yeah.
individual who has a real genuine goal. And that comes across. So we can't teach that, but we can teach the strategy side. Yes, I do position myself as having done this for over a decade, and I understand how life insurance works specific to that need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. Let's get into the numbers a little bit. I'm gonna you said your first batch was incredible.
Yeah.
I think we talked prior to this. Can you tell me about that first week, and then tell me what you're seeing on your averages? Because I know the first week was incredible, and
Yeah.
so tell me what you're seeing.
So just to say, you guys are at the very top of my lead order every week. I religiously do it, and so my first order was 15 leads, and it that combined with some other things I was doing, the game time leads, I track how much I'm actually converting. Again, a lot of skill, a lot of stuff involved, but
Sure.
just raw numbers for myself. That first lead order, I wrote 16,000 AP annual
Wow.
premium, which is just, I know it was
Which
just,
is which
I
is not
was
normal,
excited.
but it's awesome that it happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not,
Yeah.
the averages are actually less. So for
Yeah.
about every
Sure.
$100, I'm spending on game time, I'm actually writing close to, I'd say between $800 and $1,200 in annual
Wow.
premium in
Wow.
that neighborhood.
Wow.
Sometimes a
That's
little higher, but it's very close to 8 to 1,200 on average.
That's good. That's very good ROI. Okay. Wow. That's an interesting. I'm glad I didn't know that. Well, let me ask you this. So getting into the nitty gritty, how many leads do you order per week? Like, what's your goal?
My goal is so my entire marketing budget, 50% of it's actually allotted just to game time,
Okay. Okay.
which is all leads. And I also have some other outside marketing, but
Sure.
50% of it. So I'm doing in the neighborhood of 500 to about 5 to 700 a week, just game time
Okay. So some
dollars.
weeks 15 leads, maybe some weeks 20, depending on the week. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Do you have a strategy when calling these leads, like a sequence, frequency? Like, what's your strategy on the approach? Like your dial time?
So I look at leads as my inventory. You have a retail business, you have an inventory, you got to keep building it back up.
Okay.
You cannot do without the product. And so my product is my client, and I have to have enough of them in the door. So from a business standpoint, I want to make sure that I always have enough to call.
Sure.
When I make an order, and I know, you guys are fantastic. Sometimes they come in 24 hours, and I've got half the order, and sometimes in 72 hours, the rest of it's filled out. But that gives me time. The second I get the lead, I call it.
Okay.
I don't care if the form says morning, noon, afternoon,
Sure.
evening, whatever. I call
Well,
it.
you know, yeah. Yep.
Ms. Jones, my name's Jonathan. I at least want to introduce myself, let you know I specialize in clergy,
Right.
whatever, first responder, medical,
Right.
life insurance. I want you to know that I got it. And just to introduce myself, I say a second thing. I will be the only person that calls you. You will not be inundated with 700 calls. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's huge. That's a
And
great,
they really like
set
that.
them at ease. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the only person you're going to deal with. I look forward to advising you and guiding you here.
Wow.
Now, you remember putting that form out, right? Oh, yeah, I did that. You were looking for life insurance. Yes. I mean, they
Okay.
all say yes. So it's fantastic there too. That's
Yeah.
my initial strategy.
Okay. And now, when you're talking to these people on the phone, are you, is it one call close? Is it, hey, let's set a better time so we can have more time together? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I do a 2-call close. I don't like to close them on the first time. To me, that cheapens the relationship, right?
Sure.
So I'll gather some information. I do a lot of field underwriting up front. I will be really transparent and candid with anybody who's going to see this. I do a lot of field underwriting right up front.
Yeah.
I ask them as many questions as I can.
Yep.
I get as much rapport. And then I say, listen, when I come back to you, I'm not going to be quoting. I don't even use the word quote, but I'm not going to be offering you a lot of opportunities you won't qualify for. What I'm going to bring back are things you will most likely qualify for.
Realistic.
Yes. I want to,
Yep.
I want to set the stage that there, and then I say, and when I see you next, I'm going to present that to you. You're going to choose an option, and I'm going to make sure you get covered. I tell them on that call, I'm going to do the work now with the medical underwriting questions. I'm going to present it to you next time. You're going to choose an option next time,
Right.
and I will follow up and see it through. And anybody I say that to, if they go, okay, that's 95% a closed deal, right there.
Yeah. And we used to do that when I used to work mortgage protection. We did the same thing. Like, which, by the way, are you driving to these homes or are you selling them over the phone?
I'm 100% virtual.
Okay. Well, then you're going to love our, we're coming out with a virtual lead for this. It's going to be statewide, multi-state.
I cannot wait to hear about that.
It's going to be great. And it's going to be cheaper. So we just have to build it. So our software, we have to build in the technology for distribution, and there's a lot of logic involved in that. So when you're managing local orders, plus you're managing, multi-state. So there's a lot of moving parts, but you're going to love 2022 is going to be good, man.
Nice.
It's so funny you mentioned that. That's where the business is going. I mean, there's a lot of insurance sold in the home, and there will be from now on. I do believe that, but there is a movement in this country with virtual life insurance sales, and it's exciting. It really is.
I'm going to make a point on that.
Sure.
And to respect our time, but also to say the passage of the Affordable Care Act really brought in a brand new customer. It required them to evolve, and people were enrolling over the phone.
Yeah, it's normal now.
Yeah, and I rode that wave. They were going over to Affordable Care Act, the website, you're getting them set up. And so that kind of set the stage. And the more and more people are doing things over the phone, you're going to see that as the senior population keeps coming in, they're going to be much more comfortable. I mean, you order things from QVC over the phone. You do all this other stuff. So that's been happening.
Well,
and now you can do it through Zoom, and you can see, I say you will see me. And I'm like an hour at the most from most people I talk to. So they know the town that I'm in.
Great. That's so great.
Yeah.
By the way, when I used to call my leads too, is I would typically have an association with where they lived. Say, oh yeah, my mother-in-law, yeah, she lives up there. Or, I would always try to localize myself because they want to know they're not talking to some guy on the other half of the country, maybe sometimes. And so, but now in telesales, that doesn't really matter as much, but yeah, if you got local leads within an hour, you could definitely take that to your advantage.
Sure.
Yeah. The people, especially since COVID, people are, they're buying their groceries online. I mean, they're having them shipped to their front door. Amazon's everything's going online. So learning how to do virtual is going to be one of those good skill sets. And that's phenomenal, man. That's great. I love your approach. I love how you're getting all the information up front. You need to know, did he have kidney disease? Did he have, You have diabetes. Okay. Are you taking a pill? Are you taking insulin? When were you diagnosed? Okay. Well, what was your most recent A1C? Okay. This is valid information. If this guy wants a $500,000 policy, well,
Yeah.
I got to get an underwriter on the phone and I got to find out. And that underwriter is going to ask me, well, what was his last A1C? What's his height and weight?
Yeah. They're going to respect the fact that, first of all, you as an agent, you say to them, I'm going to present to you what you most likely will qualify for.
Yeah.
I value your time and I value my time, and I'm not going to talk about 8 other carriers or products that are not going to fit what you're actually trying to accomplish. So allow me to go through these questions and I'll put you in the best position I can. And I think they respect that and they're willing to give that information.
100%. So what, I guess, I know this is a goal and everybody has big goals, but off of these term leads, what would you say is an income goal in 2022? I mean, here it is. We're almost there. I love talking about goals this time of year.
Sure. No, I have Q1 already planned out. I have every single week planned out. I know my activities. I know what all of Q1 is. My goal is to break records. It's not about my ego. It's literally about what I'm building for my family and for my wife's children and for the agents that I mentor.
Sure.
I want to see if I can break 200,000 just with game time.
Okay. And I think that's doable.
I do too.
I think that's very doable if you're because the term market just opens up a lot of bigger commissions. It just really does. I mean, there's a lot of guys that sling FE and there's nothing. I mean, that's great. FE is a good business. But learning the term market is, it just, my income catapulted when I learned how to sell term, especially non-med term, whether it's $1 million policy down to, a $50,000 term for an older person or something. That's when my income went up. And, it's interesting. This wasn't really part of my questions I had planned, but I just thought about this. A lot of agents are like, man, I really like those young people because, the term is so cheap. I'm sitting there thinking, you're going to go broke if all you do is sell to young people. I had to learn this. Like when I'd learn how to sell policies to 65-year-olds, and what I'm seeing on our end with our leads, that 40 to 65, age bracket, we get a lot of those in these leads. And that's who buys good sized term policies. What are you seeing?
So I agree with that. I also like those that are a little younger, but I like to put them into, especially if they're prior to 30, I like to put them into an IUL.
Absolutely.
Show them the $1 million baby, because that's out there, how to do that. But I do like the ages of 40 to 60 for those term programs. You have to know your product. You have to know which carrier to go to. It all comes with time.
Absolutely.
But I would agree with you. And I would say the vast majority of leads you are providing through game time are between, I'd say 35 and 60. I every once in a while get someone in their 70s, every once in a while get someone in their 20s. But if they're in their 70s, it's an FE play most often.
Absolutely.
If it's in their 20s, I pitch the IUL, but I go term if necessary.
Sure.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's the. I mean, you want a 45-year-old, a 55-year-old that's like, you know what, I got some debt. Nowadays what we're seeing too is there's a lot of people in their 40s that are still having babies. So you got a 42-year-old. My mom was 41 when she had my brother. My dad was 43. So, that's a new term. That's a big life event. Right. And so, and a lot of people,
it happened to us. My wife and I had my son when I was 41. So yeah. So like, and two, I used to love getting those 50-year-olds because they knew they were going to try to pay off their debt, their mortgage by the time they retire. So they would, that 15-year term was really big because they're like, man, I just need to get this debt paid off. And if something happens to me, I need to make sure my wife's got a house or whatever. So that's awesome. Good news is, this, you've been in the business a while. You can also be like, hey, what if she were to pass, you make the money, but if she were to pass, wouldn't it be nice for you to have a little runway and buy some time for yourself as well? So 100%. You can get husband and wife in the home. And I would say 50% of the people I'm writing getting a husband and a wife.
Yeah. You got to. 100%. Yeah. Because another thing too, people don't think about, but like, I think about income replacement because if something happened to my wife, like, I'm going to be honest, like I may not go to work for a while, like at all. Like I'm going to be, picking up the pieces of my heart, my like I don't even
I
know.
get it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
and working and a paycheck, and I want enough money to come that's here that, like, if I want to take off for a year to get my life back, like just to figure it out, then I've got enough money to do so, you know. So yeah, in your scenario, that husband may not even be working because he's in therapy, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So a couple last questions, and this has been great. I love hearing the stories of production from you guys. It's awesome. Let me ask you this. Okay, would an automated or some type of dialing software? So like if our software had a feature to where you could just click the dial, and or maybe it kind of not necessarily power dial through them, but like at least a click to dial process, or making it easier, like for you to not leave our software and go use a third party CRM, but just all within our software work and manage those leads. I mean, would that help? I mean, talk to me a little bit about that.
So I think that's a really we touched on that right before we started this, and you know, it made me think. I've got, you know, some experience with the whole dialer situation.
Sure.
Through a couple of agencies I worked with and consulted with, and I would say, you know, other than TCPA, we'd have to, you know, those things, which is on your guys' side legal. I would just say it's very possible that could be very attractive, just from the standpoint of not having to get each one and dial, but keep the client information in front of you. I mean, a lot of agents that I know are using like Google Voice, and they just have that as their number, and they're just going over back and forth. So
that way, their business line,
right. If you can improve that mousetrap and make it more seamless.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
Yeah, because as we grow and you know, I'm hearing a lot of guys like, hey man, I've got this dialer, I've got this CRM. There's just a lot of moving parts, and it's like, man, you can really get lost in this. And plus, those cost money, right? You don't get those for free. And so we're trying to we want to make it better. We want to add more features to our software so that it's easier. Like one of the things we're talking about, I mean, we got to obviously make it a reality, is at least on the mobile version of our site. Like if you've got it pulled up on your phone, you can at least like make the phone number a hyperlink, so you can just click the dial. I mean, I know it's something small, but like that saves 10 seconds, right? That saves time. So little things like that, you know.
I do like that for sure.
Yeah. So if you're in the car and you get a lead, like, man, you pull it up, boom, click a button, and you're on the phone, you know. So stuff like that. Last thing I want to talk to you about, because I think some agents, you know, they're not organized. Let's just face it. The average person in sales is not organized. It's clear. Most people that are good at sales have messy cars. Okay. Like that's kind of a known personality trait. But are you able to get leads, appointments set on calling older leads? Like, you know, like how are you seeing like, man, I've been calling this lead for 3 weeks, finally got him on the phone and wrote $100 case, $200 a month case. I mean, are you seeing that? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It'll be 3 months later and I'll finally get someone on the phone and I'll say, hey, let's get an appointment. And yes, I do. And yes, I write them. I think, again, you have to look at it as an agent. You have to look at it as inventory. It has to be part of what you are, the product that you have, which is a pathway to your income.
Great.
And you have to build that up, and you got to keep working it. Now, the older it gets, they still wanted life insurance. At one point, they still wanted life insurance.
But life got in the way.
To go through all of those forms. So they're still valuable. Yes, the new ones get on right away. But I would circle back, and I call them a minimum. And I have them on a rotating schedule, but I call them a minimum 3 times in 1 week. And sometimes, here's how I will do it. I'll call them 3 times in a row within like 2 minutes, create a little bit of urgency. If they get on the phone, get on my script. And I'll do that twice in a week, but I don't burn the number. I don't just nail it. I give it a couple weeks and I come back to it. And I have more than one business number. So I hit them from a different number.
Smart.
But it's all local to where I am, where they are. So I will circle back. Yeah, I do get those appointments, and I have written. So I just wrote a very large. Well, I shouldn't say very large. Pretty good size IUL. Guy's in his late 20s. He's a pastor, and I'm writing one for his wife. And that was the second lead order I bought, and that was like a while ago.
Yeah, that's been a while.
Start going through them. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you're taking the emotion out of it. And I think a lot of agents become emotional because they're spending money on leads and they're trying to get traction, and you can get emotional about it. Right. And so, you've kind of taken the emotion out. It's like, okay, I've got inventory. I'm just going to call through them. You don't care if the lead's 3 months old or 3 days old. Like I'm calling. I'm just calling my leads.
Yep.
That's I love that. I never thought of it that analogy of the inventory. I've got inventory. I got to just keep going through it, keep stacking more in there, and keep calling. And it's really funny. They pay us really well on the other end to do that.
You got to be as an agent. You have to be willing to rely on your discipline, not your talent. You've got to be disciplined to every single day to keep hitting that. And forget about how talented and how skilled you are. Because the only difference between myself and somebody who's brand new are the 12,000 reps I have. And the only reason I have those 12,000 repetitions is because of discipline. And that's the only reason why I'm breaking 6 figures for 8 years in a row now. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
I'm not this amazing, talented CEO guy. I'm just not. I'm average. I really am. But my discipline takes me farther than some other people's talent. So if you look at it as and you were talking about how messy cars are. Mine's a little messy. I would agree with that. This desk in my office is not perfectly here.
Yeah,
but I'm extremely disciplined about my inventory and extremely disciplined about those things. And that never fails. So if somebody got something from that, then please, that's all I'm pay forward,
That's huge because there's been times in my life because I was spoiled with such, like awesome leads in the mortgage protection industry that like, honestly, like there were times I did rely on my talent because like, I didn't have to pound the pavement because I knew I was going to get 3 or 4 really good sized cases that week. And I didn't have to kill myself. Now I look back, I'm like, you simple-minded, small thinking, moron. That's what I want to call myself because like I should have pushed further. Like I should have said, okay, I know I'm going to write whatever, my 5, 7, 8 grand this week. I know I'm going to write it, but okay, well, Andrew, why are you not pushing for 10,000 every week? How about you do a push week and maybe try to write it 20 grand in 1 week?
Mm-hmm.
Shock the world.
I'm a huge fan of setting big goals.
Yeah.
And here's something else. When you set a big goal and you're not sure you're going to reach it, do not adjust the goal. Adjust your activity.
Right.
You adjust the activity you have to remain disciplined. If you reach for a really big goal and you fall a little short, that's better than shooting for a small goal and falling short. That's why big goals matter. People are like, I would never set these huge goals I'm not going to reach. Yes, you should.
Yeah.
And you should also give yourself a break too.
Well,
it's okay to miss a big goal.
Yeah. I'll say this, and I'll leave with this. I have I'm fortunate to see a lot of agents, and see a lot of producers out there, and I'm blown away. There are agents out there absolutely crushing it, and there are agents. I mean, I've talked to people literally. They write $1 million a year over the phone. So like there's always so to me as a competitor, right? Like I played basketball in college, and like I'm this competitor mindset. I'm like, oh man, well if he can do that, maybe I could. Or hey, maybe I can write if I wrote half that, I'd be happy. Or whatever. So like there's always going to be somebody out there that's setting new heights, and I think that's awesome because it's proof that it can be done. But I'll say this, man, we have families. We have lives outside of insurance. It's just simply what we do. The good thing about this business is it can provide a lifestyle for you to be the best dad, for you to be the best husband or whatever, like version of that, whatever that is for your family. And so this is just a tool. And some guys, they want to tackle the world. They want to write $1 million a year over the phone. That's cool. But I would challenge to see that guy's family life, right? So like there's got to be some balance, right? There's seasons of grind and there's seasons maybe not of that much grind, but yeah, the lifestyle that this business can provide is just I don't know, it's phenomenal. It is.
Yeah. So your leads are of the highest quality I've ever had to use. I had the honor of purchasing, and I mean that genuinely. It is. They are. They are. I don't know what else to say. They're great.
Well, I've been in this business a long time. I've been around 12 years. We built this lead because mortgage protection there's a scarcity of leads out there for mortgage protection. At the end of the day, you're writing a non-med term product in the home typically. And so we built a lead for that basically. So, okay, let's just build a lead for non-med term. Why are we, instead of calling it mortgage protection, let's just call it non-med term. Now, granted, obviously on the phone, you're the doctor, you prescribe whatever you need to prescribe. If it's a final expense term, fully underwritten term, non-med term, or if it's an IUL, whatever, I wrote cases, I remember writing some GULs, on some older clients. So, it's, I agree with you, but we try to build a lead around that mentality as non-med term. So yeah, man. Awesome. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time today. And hopefully this provides value for some people because I know you've ordered leads regularly and I want to get you on the phone because I'm like, all right, this guy's running a business and I want to talk to a guy that's actually making this a business and running it as such. So thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, absolutely.